Are you happy to go to work? If you can answer yes to that question, you're one of the happiest employees on earth, because not everybody is. We have seen and heard of a lot of people who are unsatisfied at their workplaces. It may be because of their personality, their attitude, or sometimes it's the environment. But whatever the reason is, when you're unhappy at work, it can hinder your work performance and also your overall happiness in life. Because 2/3 of our time is spent in the office. Imagine if you can go to work at 1 p.m. on Monday. You'll have a longer weekend to do whatever you want to do. Travel, relax at home, or spend time with your kids. Imagine if you can take 1 month off on a paid sabbatical vacation given to you as a token of gratitude for your contribution at work. Am I talking about hypothetical examples? No. These are actual cases that exist in companies that I have visited in Korea. So then, do having these policies, does it actually improve happiness at work? Yes and no. It can come from the outside in. When you change a policy or a system, it can change people's behavior. And that can be the start, but it shouldn't be the end of it. When you go deeper into the core issue of improving happiness, work culture actually plays a pretty big role. You're probably wondering why I'm talking about this topic, or why I care so much. During my career, I've encountered a lot of people who are unsatisfied at work, and I wondered why. Because they worked at top companies that everybody wanted to get into. They had high salary, good benefits, and work-life balance. But when I asked them, "Are you happy?" they answered, "Well, I enjoy my work, I like my job, but I don't think I'm happy." And I wondered why that was. And it seemed like there was a deeper reason behind this than what was seen on the surface. So before I go on to introduce you to a couple of examples of good work culture, let me just give you a brief introduction about how it's like to work in Korea. As you may already know, Korean companies are known for their heavy drinking culture, which is driven by what's called 회식, which is dinner and drinks after work. And a lot of people are pressured to join. And this culture is slowly dying out, which is a good change, but it's still there. We're also known for notoriously long working hours, intense workload, and hierarchical organizations. We're also known for a culture, 빨리빨리 culture, which means quick. And anyone who has worked with Koreans would have noticed that Koreans can get things done really fast, and they can do it also. They can also do it well. No wonder we have the fastest internet speed in the world. But as much as it's hard to change these notorious cultures within traditional organizations, there are innovators at work who are shaking up the status quo. And startups are behind this change. I'm a journalist at an English newspaper in Korea, and the greatest thing about my job is that I can access places that other people usually don't get to go. I can observe, experience, and meet various interesting and fascinating things, places, and people, which I feel truly grateful for. And last year I had the privilege of peeping into 8 different companies in Korea to see how these so-called innovative companies worked inside their organizations. And by innovative, I mean having outstanding work culture that sets them apart from others and that propels them to grow. And the reason I did that was because I was curious to see how these innovative companies worked, so-called innovative companies, because my company's culture wasn't exactly exemplary in that sense. So last year I embarked on this project to visit one company a month and meet with their CEO, talk to their employees, and spend time inside their offices to see how it really was to work inside these organizations. So today I'll be sharing 2 examples with you from my visit. The first is Ua Brothers, which is better known for this brand called Delivery Nation. It's a food delivery app which is the largest in Korea, and it was the pioneer in this industry when it started back in 2011. They started small, but now they have over 500 employees, and it's one of the most popular companies, startups, that young people want to join because they're known for their wacky culture. And by that, we mean that it's very hipster, laid back, and cool. But what really makes them cool is actually their mindset. The CEO believes that a good company is one that actually meets the expectations of its employees. So this company, they try to incorporate employees' opinions in every decision that they make. Their decisions are made entirely democratically. For instance, if they're choosing a new location for their headquarters, they would gather everyone's opinion and actually put that into action. And that's how they decided when they moved to a new headquarters recently. They also have a bucket list of the wishes of employees that's updated every year, and the company tries to make that come true. They're also known for a very collective culture, collaborative culture, and they emphasize togetherness. So people here, they're not hesitant about giving each other a helping hand. They're very, they like people who foster other people to grow. They value people who can actually add value to other people's growth. And so they hire team players more than star players. And here, there's no monetary incentives. Their incentives are more coming from their peers because they stress relationships. And what was also interesting about this company is that they had a unique culture where they come once a week. They come during the morning. For 10 minutes, they would clean the office together. And that's part of their collective culture that has been there since the beginning of this company. And the next one is called Poing, which is a restaurant information platform. This is a relatively smaller startup of 60 people, and it operates like one big family. It's a mobile application and also available online. But this company is interesting because all of their employees are very close. And they're so close together that they would come together on weekends to go camping or barbecuing or invite each other to their houses to cook for them. And they're so close that they would even talk about the failures openly during meetings. And failure here is not just okay, it's encouraged. So people, when they come into their meetings, they would talk about their failures and mistakes, and they would not reprimand each other, but they would learn from each other. And the CEO here, he encourages people to take initiatives in projects. They're also very flexible, agile, and open to criticism. And one thing that I noticed in this company that was very interesting was that they don't use negative languages. Swearing is banned, and saying things like, no, you can't do that, or discouraging other people is all not allowed. And it seems like this type of work culture that creates a positive, open, and constructive environment seems to have had an impact because they have zero turnover. So what have I learned from all of my visits to these companies? I learned that, first of all, there was a great leader. Without a leader who had the open mindset to push forth innovation, it's hard to implement change. And with all of these companies, there was a leader who sets the right example. And secondly, there were great people. Even with a great leader, without the people who can support that leader, without like-minded people who can support the ideas and values of that leader, it's hard to implement change. In these companies, there were people who rowed the boat together. And thirdly, these companies were very collaborative. They worked well as a team. They were very collective and cooperative. They were not hesitant about giving each other helping hands. And so they had a very healthy collaborative culture. Fourth, they were full of love. And by this I mean they care for each other, they pay attention to each other, and they respect each other a lot. And the basis of that was trust. And finally, they took ownership. for their work and for their results. And that might sound obvious, but it's actually quite hard. And people here, they take responsibility. They were very passionate about their work. They were empowered. They took initiatives and they worked like owners. So all in all, it comes down to the importance of mindset. From these examples and from my visits, I've learned that leaders with an open mindset who can push forth innovation can actually transform an organization to create an exponentially better experience. And these companies, they were pursuing the greater good, they tried to contribute to society, and they were very empathetic both internally and externally. And they were constantly changing, innovating, and iterating, which are the basic principles of design thinking. So to conclude, I would say innovation isn't a leap. It's those baby steps that you make toward progress. Thank you for listening.